I'll start recording as well. Some clear fucking confusion about what's going on here. Well, actually, it was going to piss off the enemy team, but in scrims, what I thought I might do is
Yeah.
just... Because I never really actually get a chance to talk about how... like a good ways to actually play the map that we're playing or the comps that we're playing. So I think in
Yeah.
scrims I'm going to start pausing at the start of each game
Yeah,
and
no
just
worries.
talking people through the concepts behind the comp we're playing and where we want to set up and stuff, because it's just the easiest time for me when we're actually all in Discord and we're all going to be listening and we're all like not just going to be like drinking coffee, watching the VODs mindlessly, etc. So like
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start just like pausing games for 1 or 2 minutes before,
Go
and
ahead, yeah.
we're going to be talking about the ideas behind, because I think there's just some concepts on each map that we can really work on as a team. But anyway, I digress. This is dumb as fuck. Clearly we've got no idea what's going on. The game has started, they're through. Flames is here. I have no idea. Actually, this tilted the fuck out of me. And what I find even more funny is that we call they're going left. Goats. They're going left, you call. Flames gets caught, and Gil rotates towards them.
Oh my god.
So this was fucking carnage.
Yeah.
This defense is pretty much whitewash. We do okay from this point. If our supports hadn't have fucking noobed out, this would be okay.
Yeah, I think at this point we have no supports, like, so we just can't really engage.
No, for me at like this point, the moment like they get to 2 ticks and we're down both supports, just to really micro this, like I'd contest before this gets so close, because we're obviously going to die. There's obviously no way we're going to be losing point.
Yeah.
Just like reset on point, stall it out before they have like 2 seconds and can steamroll us even harder.
I wasn't really sure if we would be able to win with spam or not, so I thought I'd give some more time for the spam, but...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with like getting up to here, but the moment they get that second tick, I probably have jumped down just to minimise or maximise the time we have to respawn or regroup before they roll us on second.
Yep.
I said to Kyle yesterday when we were watching this, just a personal note for him, they're playing goats, their Diva got demexed and killed. He could take a way more aggressive angle at this point, like go like here for example, and actually get some really nice shots off.
Yep.
Set up a good crossfire, because taking shots at this angle is really fucking hard to do. That was just a personal note for him. We need to identify when the fight is lost here. Flames goes back in and gets staggered after they cap point, and this is pretty much what gets us rolled on second. I don't know if Gil dies as well, but this is scary.
There you go.
Let's swap to more spam. Kyle, can you go?
No, Flames. Yeah. Does Gil die as well? Yes. Great. So that's both points lost.
This is like my attempt at playing Hammond.
We could have done with the fight. We could have done with like a just stall, reset, go again, call on first point here, because I don't think Flame. We don't comment properly, and so like for me, Flame should know that we've just lost both supports. They're probably not going to win point A. There's probably no point going for the recontest. So it's kind of like a personal note for his game sense and game awareness, but equally like for all the people on point, we can com that it's lost, just stall out hard, reset, go again.
Yeah.
Kind of break down both elements there.
Big mid.
We're actually going to call Icarus out on this. Carl comms that, well, he says they're all in there, which isn't hugely helpful, but there's a Diva, there's a Lucio, and a Brig in here.
What would you call that place?
I'd just say behind point. Behind point for me.
Yeah.
If we can think of something more catchy to call it, then sure, but behind point I like. Icarus misses 1, misses Lucio, and then calls out Kyle, says there's no one in there. So like...
Oh Jesus.
Nah, that was you, mate. But never mind. Poor Kyle got BM'd there when he actually made a really nice call.
There's no reason to be BMing anyway.
No. This is actually kind of something I want to address at some point. I have actually been slightly disappointed with, I guess, just some of the tone of the conversations and comments that have been made in our scrims recently. Like, we're not here to bring each other down. We're not here to BM each other. We're meant to be a team. We're meant to be working together to improve. Generally, for me, I don't think... Some people do actually get like spurred on and motivated when they get a bit heated, but I think as a default, it's a very bad idea to do. I think we need to be encouraging each other and being positive rather than flaming each other, especially in the middle of a game. The tone recently, some of the comments and just like some of the attitudes has actually really disappointed me in scrims. We can be better than that. Anyway. So that defense is kind of stupid. Make sure you're ready and just don't stagger hard. Is all I need a bit of advice. But our attack here is slightly interesting. So I want to look at this.
Do you go left side? I didn't say distract.
Kyle does confess he's like, maybe this VOD is slightly useless because while he says like, he was like, yeah, I'll play Sombra, like, he confesses his Sombra is fucking garbage currently. So I don't know if that helps the situation on our attack here.
Oh, that's fine.
But you know, I think he's gonna practice it a little bit.
I'd say mainly just go for hacks on them, but if you want to hack a hack. Tell me when you guys are in position. Oh no, can I see heals, please?
I don't know why we're like Mercy going forward, Flames going forward.
Don't peek.
Don't think that needs to happen.
No, nor do I. So let's get out.
You're just peeking like, you know, they have Widow, you're just peeking or you're asking to die.
Yeah, well,
just let people get in position.
They're playing Widow junk, which is scary as hell. So
I'm literally just standing there watching everyone. I'm like, what are we doing?
Where's A?
Why are we doing this?
So you kind of do cover this as well, but the rollout plan, the plan to attack this, we're playing double flanker, is you want to send Genji left and over, which you do tell Icarus and which Icarus tries to do. And we want to send Sombra right and high ground, which we do tell Kyle and Kyle tries to do. So we do that, and then our backline is, to be honest, most likely going to be playing from here.
I want our backline to be able to wait until me, Genji, and Sombra all engage, and then at that point the Widow is occupied, and so is the Junkrat. So then you can start to peek, throw an orb, do all your stuff. That was my plan anyway.
So just to think about this, if they are playing a Widow and Orisa, for example, up here, you can't dive them from here, can you?
No. But I would just jump forward and
you just jump here
again.
Just kind of like one jump for space to stage and set up in this area, then go again.
Yeah. Yep.
What are our flankers doing as you and Diva are trying to like actually stage for an engagement on here?
Wait, really? I think.
Yeah, to be honest, like, and our backline can still be playing here, can't they? So our flankers get themselves in position. If they are, so if our flankers take this position and they're playing aggressively forward, then we can dive straight up from here. You and Diva can just go straight down main. Our flankers can collapse, and our backline can support that super easily. If they're playing back here, which they are, then we just need to add one more stage. So, like, if they're playing on this platform, we're pretty much staged for a dive here. If they're playing on the back, we need to add one stage and get our tanks to around these locations. I think
I can just jump a little bit forward and like go from under the bridge.
Yeah.
And then all three of us can just dive.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. I don't think we need our Zen and our Mercy peeking here. I think they can be playing.
If I need an orb, just if I get a little poke to the jump, all you need to do is like ask for a matrix, a Zen, give me an orb. I should be fine.
Indeed, if Zen is like playing here, you can play all around here and get some support off him super easily. So I definitely agree with you that this
Don't be,
is
guys.
this
We
is
don't need to go
dangerous.
yet. We're still waiting for our And if you do DMs. want to move, like, you know, there, then you need to ask for a matrix.
Yeah.
Oh, there might be someone else, but for the most part, all I can see is
Where this treehouse? Okay.
all top left.
And it's not necessarily,
Come in.
Oh, there's a diva, there's a diva, there's
Yo,
a diva.
fire.
considering they're holding back, like we definitely could. In terms of staging a dive, we definitely could send our backline one of these ways. But we can also play from back there. It kind of comes down to personal preference and what people want to do. But as you say, if we do want to transition slightly forward, transition our backline slightly forward, then yeah, we have to comment, we have to get our DM, we have to DM.
Okay,
So playing Widow Junk, poor kill. This is really funny. Watch this. Diva just sits here for about 30 seconds spamming out Sombra.
I can't really. Okay. Junkrat's coming for you. There's Junkrat there as well.
If I were him, I would just go in and like spin my camera everywhere while shooting. Ready?
Kyle gets caught here.
Never mind. Come back. Yeah.
So like, as they are holding high ground, I don't mind transitioning our supports here. I think it just means
Yeah.
we can be slightly more effective. It's still fairly safe. For me, I said I did a one-on-one VOD with Jay yesterday, and I actually said it was quite funny that sometimes I think you and Jay are in each other's positions.
Yeah.
You end up, like, for me, I would have my Winston here, and I would have my Diva back here with our Zen and our Mercy, so she can actually DM some of this spam and get our backline set up to support the dive.
I would like me and you to be together at this point, like where I am right now.
Yeah, so I do think Jay could also, that would be option number 2, I guess. And I talked to Jay about this yesterday, because I went through the Dorado VOD from a little while ago now, but just there's a few examples in that VOD of him doing stuff like this and just playing like a very flanky style Diva,
Yeah.
which can get value, but for me, I really consider it's not flashy and it's not stylish, but for me, Diva is really, really the workhorse of the dive comp. She's there to control the sightlines of our core and kind of like mitigate any damage towards our backline. And so this here doesn't actually get any value on Diva. Arguably on Winston, you don't really lose value from moving from here to here. You're just kind of like set up for a slightly safer engage on them, but Diva is more valuable, being on our backline, actually DMing our supports through and then diving in. But I did speak to Jay about this yesterday as well. Because I mean, like, yeah, you could play here, but equally if you were to play here, then you are actually able to engage on them from either of these angles and take practically no damage whatsoever. You're on them before they even know where you are.
Yeah.
But like, for you to protect our backline here, you need to blow a very important cooldown for your engage, that being the shield, whereas Jay just needs to tap DM. So if we are going to have an aggressive tank flanky style, that needs to be you and not Jay. Otherwise, you could, as you say, you could both be playing from that mega here anyway. We have our 2 flankers, so we kind of like do have a lot of flank pressure to jump them. Anyway.
Everyone ready? Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go now. On Widow. He dropped.
Widow's on left side now. Are we second die?
Or second die. Yep. Junkrat 1. Junkrat 1.
I'm gonna drop a point. I'm gonna try.
This is just some fat old Genji Diva Winston cleave, to be honest. But that's fine.
That's it. That's how it's supposed to go. Like just all
Exactly.
sides and like they can't do shit.
Yeah. So we actually staged for a dive nicely here, and it worked out. Where did Ludo come from, actually? Because Ludo put in some... It's Icarus. Why do I keep doing that?
Yeah, top left side.
So he's behind currently, and he leaps up. Beautiful. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. And super coordinated with you as well. This is what I'm talking about. Like, when we staged this really well, Jay was in position, you were in position, Icarus was in position. You only need 3 men to dive. That's nice. That's really good. Like, Sombra doesn't do anything here. I don't know where Kyle is. He's got 1% ult charge, 2% ult charge in this engagement.
Yeah, I'm just looking for Kale to on Sombra to either get a hack or cause chaos. So like, I don't think Diva was really with them at that point, so he was causing chaos. Will I think?
Yeah, I think he pushed this side, and
Yeah.
he got the Widow when the Widow transitioned across,
Exactly.
which is nice. That's fine. I did tell him, like, we see him playing up in this mega room and getting spammed out by Diva and just hiding in the corner for ages. I did suggest to him the option of just like stealthing away and coming point, and then just like translocating up onto either of the high grounds with the dive.
Yep.
And actually getting more involved in the fight, because he gets a little bit phased by just the Diva spam here. Anyway, that's point. Really nice dive. Took us a little bit of time, but fuck it.
Going from right side.
Cal jumps Discord. Tanks up here. Tanks up here.
So Icarus comms both tanks up on the high grounds.
I can get back. Yeah.
Let's go for it. I see a Zen orb, and I'm like, where did he go?
Yeah, so this Zen was pretty smart. They tracked EMP here, and he sat in spawn, waiting for this EMP to come out, which is a prime example for me of like so many people sometimes like from the woes of playing Zen on ladder and playing into a Sombra. People are like, oh my god, swap Zen, and I'm like, no dude, you can just line of sight the Sombra and wait for EMP and counter it. It's hella easy, and he does it really well here.
Leave them. Dive past them, man.
So Icarus comms the two tanks on high ground, and you say leave them, dive past them. And this
I guess that Mercy would be a good EMP target as well. As she just flies past onto the tanks.
Yeah, she would. Or I think we need to do this more. I think, especially playing dive, Brig is so good against that because of her burst heal. Brig is, if we can catch a Brig with no stun, or when she's stunned and puts herself slightly out of position, this as a target needs to kind of be floating around our mind as a team more.
Yeah.
And it happens again on this map actually when we go goats, and she gets so low and she gets so overextended, but we don't quite punish her. But this is she is really punishable. In general as a hero, because obviously she can't burst heal herself.
Winston on me. Break.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Alright, play slow. You can still...
So where's... Sombra goes left, which is nice. Yeah, you tried to leave the Zen and he's back in spawn. But Winston's on Gil right now, he's calling it. I don't think we're going to see where he goes.
Yeah, I see Valkyrie and I just hold off on my ult.
So we lose this because Gil dies to Winston, pretty much that's what blows this push for us. Well, also this is a huge Zen trans, like Carly EMPs most of them, but Zen comes in from spawn, EMPs them. I can't see where Gil is though.
Yeah.
But it happens a couple more times here, and it kind of leads me to talk about the fact we kind of have two options as a playstyle here. And we do, one is hard commit and dive beyond. I think I was too hasty in dismissing the idea of just like hard commit and diving beyond. Like we're playing double flanker, we can... It depends also on what support odds we have. If we had either Valk or Trans, then it kind of frees us up to play super aggressive, ignore the tanks holding that space, and try and get a good hack and a good dive off here. And we essentially use our support ultimates, either the Valk or the Trans, to get them through beyond the space, and get them safe and get them supporting our team. But currently we have no Trans, we have no Valk. One of their tanks is going to just munch our backline up if we don't do anything about them being up there. And obviously when we hard engage, like that does pressure them, they're likely, I think Diva peels back, Diva does peel back, but Winston is still just on our backline munching us right now.
can still win this. She has Diva won't be careful. Alright.
So I'm going to assume what happens. I think Gil must go this way. Winston, Diva, and I'll change colours. I think Gil must push this way. Winston, Diva, and Mercy up here. When you jump in, I guess Diva boosts onto point, but I think Winston drops down and nibbles Gil.
We could have done is possibly like jump up top, pressure the tanks off, and as Mercy comes to heal them, just EMP, and then kill the Mercy.
Yeah.
It could be a plan.
I think that'd be a plan. Yeah, I'll finish this game first of all, and then I'll kind of talk about some ideas I had regarding just how we could have approached this, the different styles we could have approached this with, and maybe like if we want to introduce a certain play style to experiment with on scrims, or try different ways each time. But yeah, I'll explore this slightly more at the end. But at that point, when we have no support ults available, we have to do something to make sure our backline stays alive. Because otherwise Winston is so easy. And so I think in this situation when we had no support ults, we needed to clear that high ground somehow. As you said, like we could have jumped up there, really hit him with a lot of damage when Mercy comes up, EMP and slay her. Because also like that works really well in terms of what their Zen is doing to counter EMP. He's hiding in spawn. If we end up EMPing their tanks and their Mercy up on the front line here, then he's not getting to them. Yeah. So that would actually be really fucking smart because it counters his counter playstyle already. We push 6 manas right here into a Junkrat. And
I don't think like when Briggs getting pocketed like that, I don't think she's a good target.
No, she's got Mercy and Zen healing her right now, but you're never going to kill anything with Mercy and Zen pocketing her, really.
Yeah.
But we get wrecked before this even begins because we all push this way, and Junk just spams it. But like, you know, we're playing 1, 2, potentially 3 flankers, and we all push right side into their Junkrat. We make it very easy for him there.
Discord.
And this was actually... No, the tanks. Winston's there. I don't know where Diva is. Diva is high ground again. Okay.
Discord.
So we have Vulcan trans now.
Yes. So...
They have Rally, Diva Bomb, and entire.
Once again, they're taking the space really nicely. This is for me, this is why Anubis can be such a fucking nightmare on ladder sometimes, because first of all, where we are now, it's so easy for the enemy team, if they're doing a super aggressive hold, to just sit on high ground and just drop on your backline as they're pushing through.
Yep.
And it's exactly the same case when you actually go onto point here. It's just so easy to stage and just drop onto people aggressively. It's so easy essentially to just control this point from aggressive high grounds and make taking it really easy, make taking it really difficult. And I think this time you do there's just a bit of a... So there's no real plan here.
I think I could have went around the other way. I think this is a very bad way to go around.
What, for you?
Yeah.
Which way would you have gone?
Just through the main.
What, just like essentially done what Jay does and just leap up
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily... I don't know how much difference it really makes. You're supported slightly more.
Yeah. That's why, maybe.
But this kind of falls apart mostly for me just because there's a slight disconnect. Like, share comms with you here.
I would also like get Chris to come with us and help push them off as well.
Yeah, 100%. So you come to push them off high ground.
Winston top.
Alright, let's push these guys.
Gil calls Winston top out a second ago, then you go, alright, let's push these guys off high ground. But at this point, Jay is already boosted. You're essentially doing this solo. So
Push them off.
it's a good plan, but it's just slightly late.
Winston top.
Alright,
Jay's
let's
already
push
used
these
his
guys.
boosters. We should have thought about this slightly earlier. When we're kind of rolling it here, we're going to be like, okay, let's remove this guys from high ground. I think you and Jay could go main, and that at that point Icarus can take a flank. Yeah, Icarus could probably come and pressure them from this angle here, because he can just ride up this wall and get some easy right clicks on them.
Off high ground.
Got him.
Push them off.
Just monkey.
I'm gonna
monkey
prime
raising.
them.
Zen's dive.
We want Zen?
Oh, back, sorry.
Brickstone then destroyed.
Wow, what was that? It was Junk and Brickstone?
We want Zen?
Oh, back,
Yes.
sorry. Zen
Oh,
double
shit.
back right with mercy, I
Okay,
can let's see if
we
you make
gonna
space. No, I can't.
Yeah, bad play by me.
Monkey dead. Dead as well. Yeah, no one will.
You were trying to do the right thing there. It was just like a slight disconnect. We didn't think about it early enough, and Jay wasn't able to go with you because he just did the same thing slightly earlier.
And bottled spot.
But that comes down to like breaking down the steps of engagement and thinking about how we want to break this point. These guys are a real problem.
Yeah.
So step one for us would be clear the space and take the fight here. And then step two is either achieve a kill out of this pressure, or when we actually control the space a little bit more, then we can go for an aggressive dive.
I'm gonna dive Zen to force you out.
Can't dive Zen right now, he's in this one. You can dive mercy though, she's back left, I can hack.
Back left. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
ready. Back
Sorry,
right.
back right,
Yeah.
back right, back right.
Yeah, let's go.
Flew away, she flew up
She's
the
really-
tank.
How about Junkrat?
I think that's probably the most punishable thing we could have
Yeah, go on.
done. The Zen. No, sorry, I mean the
How about
Mercy.
Junkrat?
Yeah,
He flies so many times to your tanks.
there are a good couple of opportunities here where she like GAs super aggressively forward. It's on cooldown.
Yeah.
She was diveable here. But this
Hacker or
is
whatever.
kind of what I was. Okay, so I think this is. Where are my notes? Sorry. So, but this default here, actually, I think this is good. I think like you and Sombra, because we know that the Winston and the Diva are set up on the high ground aggressively, as we always do. So, if we kind of fuck it, gonna stab banana. This will be easier. We'll be blue team. Got like so we have Sombra. Oh my god. We've got Sombra here, and we've got you playing around here like now. And then there's their backline of what Brig, Zen, Junk right now, Winston Diva, and then Mercy's playing between them. And I mean, hang on, no, Winston Diva are too far back. Winston Diva, and I think the rest of our team going to be around here. So, like I say, we kind of have two options for this. We could decide to clear this high ground as best we can, which would probably not have you and Sombra rolling out. I'd probably still have Sombra on aggressive flank, just causing total chaos on their backline, but we would have you trying to clear this space, which can work. It's a slower play style. It's kind of hard to say what happens when we leap up here. It's hard to know what the tanks would do. It's hard to know whether or not they would invest resources into trying to contest this, or whether the tanks would disengage and jump back.
Yeah.
Well, I guess either way, if they were to invest resources into supporting our tanks here, then that leaves Kyle slightly more free to now start looking for a powerful hack on the Brig or the Junk or something, and actually just like start getting some big value here. If the tanks fall back onto point, then, you know, we suddenly actually take control of a nice amount of space on this point. So I think either way, if we play it right, it can work out. But the alternate option is to play aggressively, or to have you and our Sombra play aggressively, kind of look to pressure and hack at this point, and try and go for some pressure, and that kind of leaves. Well, I mean, at this point where we are pausing the video right now, the Mercy GAing across here, I definitely agree with you. I think that is a fantastic window to engage on this Mercy here with the rest of our core and punish the hell out of her.
It's even a potential hack opportunity.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, I don't know if Kai would be close enough.
Yeah.
But I think, like, she's just used GA. I think you have enough time to get her low here. I think this is a missed opportunity for you to be like, dive Mercy high ground with the tanks here.
Yeah.
That's definitely a possibility. If Mercy didn't GA across,
tanks are forced to jump back or die.
Yeah. So I mean, like, this is kind of what I was getting at. Like, we can kind of takes a bit of coordination. We can kind of operate as two different units here. We can kind of operate as flankers applying pressure, and then as our core also applying pressure here. You essentially split their resources and split their focus, because they're not going to win the 4v2 here. If even those four, I don't know what am I talking.
Because it's a D.Va and a Genji then. We'd be trying to push a D.Va and a Winston off, so I don't know if it would work.
Well, we've got both supports as well. We do have Zen and we do have Mercy. But essentially, like, if you guys actually manage to apply some pressure here, you are going to force their tank line back.
Yeah.
Like, their D.Va, at the very least, is going to be forced to come and peel here. And if their D.Va does that, then their Winston is either going to be solo, and our 4-man core is able to push him off, or the Winston will peel back as well, in which case we kind of generate the space. So I guess what I'm describing is the fact, like, there's two different approaches of just, like, either hard committing to this area or pressuring with some flanks and forcing them to kind of rotate anyway. They kind of achieve similar goals, but we don't do either particularly well at this point.
How about Junkrat?
Yeah, Junkrat. Oh, Zen's here,
back. Yeah, go on. Land me.
Every time I try and go in, she just, like, smashes my face.
Try force the trance before we go.
And then Winston drops on our back line.
Land me. Back. Yeah, go on. Land me.
Winston on me. Quick hack.
Try force the trance before we go.
Okay.
Zen's bottom left.
Alright. I don't see him
again. Oh, they're not killing me. They're stuck.
Hacking Brig is probably the best idea here, to be honest.
Could be, yeah.
Oh, Zen's here,
Well, if Mercy... I think Brig is the best hack target for me.
Oh, Zen's here,
back. Yeah, go on. Land me.
Winston on me. Quick hack.
I think what you could do is, once we force the tanks off the high ground, like, if you all just look to do that, then once you're forced back to point, you can look to bait the big Brig stun and then look for a blade.
Yeah.
Try force the trance before we go. Yeah, let's go. She's over here. How about Junkrat?
Yeah, Junkrat. Oh, Zen's here,
back. Yeah, go on.
So, actually, here. Both their tanks up on the high ground right now. What stops you... There's no one that can... The Brig can do it fairly well. But there's no one that, like, hard stops you taking more space. You could have pushed up...
Yeah, that's true.
And pressured... You could have pushed up and pressured this corner. And then chances are Brig is going to stun you to hard contest that. But at that point, I guess what goes wrong here is you and Kyla are here, but you kind of don't really achieve anything. You don't We don't really apply any pressure here. Well, you end up leaping in and trying to do it, but you just get hard counted by the Brigstone, which is obviously going to happen anyway. But we have two people on the flank here that essentially need to be creating some space to either pull some tank resources from them back onto point and actually open up the rest of the core, or just offer a distraction here and actually enable our core to push the tanks off, if you see what I mean. Like, I just think we've got two people here that aren't getting any value.
Okay.
See if,
How about Junkrat?
and it's Junk, Brig, Zen is pretty scary, but you could have, I think you could have taken space with W, started really pressuring this.
Yeah.
You set up a crossfire with Sombra and you actually get value out of that. And at that point you have your mobility anyway, like if their tanks disengaged to try and peel, then you have leap to go and just like fall back to your supports, and we actually have some good space.
Yeah.
No, Mercy back. Yeah, go on. Land me.
Winston on me.
And Jay boosts in, so Jay is boosted into point right now. I think he's looking for the junk tire, but that means that we have the Winston free on our backline. And Gil dies. Winston and Diva are free on our backline.
Alright.
Oh, they're not killing me. They're stacker. Oh, no.
I'm finding it
At this
really
point,
hard,
I'm
guys,
just looking
because
for
I
Zen
don't
to
know
try
when I
force
follow
the
you,
trans.
I get
Yeah.
stuck in the middle between the tank and you guys.
Great focus on Zen.
Where is Zen right now?
So once again, Carl's on the flank.
I think he's hiding in spawn again. He's been hiding in spawn. Alright, let's go.
Once again, their tanks are on those high grounds.
Alright.
Diva no shift right now. You guys can push.
Ready? 3,
Let's go.
1, EMPing.
Right.
Done EMP.
On Zen. You guys can push.
So this is also kind of like another example. This time we actually vaguely contest their tanks here.
Yeah.
And Kyle does comment that Zen is hiding in spawn. So currently technically they're 5v6. We actually like apply some pressure forward of where the Zen is playing. So I think he starts to feel pressure to come out of spawn, and that enables us to EMP and dive aggressively with you. So that's something that actually works quite well. I thought it was quite interesting to identify. So what you going to say?
I think I do the worst primal of my life here.
Ready? 3,
Let's go.
1, EMPing.
Right.
Done EMP.
On Zen.
I have a Winston on my ass.
Zen big.
No, I don't.
So
1, EMPing.
Right.
Done EMP.
Zen.
I have a Winston.
Ready? 3,
Let's go.
1, EMPing.
right now, Icarus Blades with the EMP. We've still got Winston, Diva, Mercy up here.
Yep.
I think Jay.
EMP.
On Zen.
I have a Winston on my ass.
Gil's got Winston on him. Jay is now here. Gil dies to Winston. This is a slight error from Flames actually, I
I have a
remember seeing
Winston on
this.
my ass.
Is he goes to trans, heal, K-pop's trans. Gil comms, he's got a Winston on him. Gil's on point, he's actually made it onto point, but Flames decides to come and trans heal you, who has Primal, and a Sombra, who probably can escape.
Yeah.
The priority here should be the Mercy that has just commed, she's got Winston on her. Like, heal her up first, please, please, please.
Yeah.
But instead Gil dies, and you know, if Gil hadn't died at this point, it's 4v6, but Gil dies, we lose our primary healer, it becomes 4v5.
Break. Bridge dead, sorry.
It's gonna prime.
This is unlucky as well. They tire. Jay gets demeched just as Diva has dropped her bomb, so Jay is forced to bomb himself, and he gets blown up by Diva.
Winston's still on me.
Diva. Diva's weak.
Nice.
Diva no mech. Trying to get a ticket.
But anyway, this is an example of
Break,
one of
break,
the
break.
times where actually we have some support. We have a support ultimate, we have Transcendence.
Now?
Yeah.
So if we really want to, we can just all commit to diving super aggressively and essentially just leave our backline to trans and stay alive and support the dive on point. You essentially just mitigate the space that these tanks are holding because we have trans and we can ignore them. But what falls apart here is the fact that our trans doesn't actually save the player who is getting targeted by these people on the high ground.
Yeah, I get you.
Guys can push.
Ready? 3,
Let's go.
2, 1, EMPing.
Right.
We did EMP the Zen as well, which
Son
was
of my
well done.
ass.
Yeah, yeah, it was good.
On break. Brace dead, sorry.
On the left,
Give a
hiding.
We get unlockers, and then we
reset fast.
do a final goats push.
As soon as we go left,
I'll go.
We need to go.
We fight point, take the fight to point.
okay, here, Reaper here.
We fight point, take the fight to point.
She's target.
Yep.
So Icarus
Monkey,
yells,
monkey,
who's
push back.
target?
It's the target for me.
Reaper,
Pardon?
Reaper, I think, was the main focus. I know Brig.
Well, I can recite to you comps here.
I think Brig was the initial focus.
Point.
Here.
Alright, let's go.
We need to go.
All go left, go straight to point.
Or go left, go straight to point, which you call.
We fight point.
Reaper here, Icarus
Take the fight to
calls.
point.
She's target.
Choose targets, Icarus calls.
Yep. Monkey,
Yep, you say.
monkey.
Monkey.
Push him back.
Push him back.
Reaper.
Reaper, who's now in
No shift,
fade.
Reaper, no shift.
Reaper no shift.
Get one.
Rig one.
Monkey bind. Oh,
Yep. Monkey,
So we don't get the most
All go
decisive
left, go
target
straight
call
point.
here.
Yeah.
We fight
I'm not
point.
actually sure who to focus in this situation.
For me, it's Brig.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines, but in general, I was thinking just win the brawl, like hold stabilized and push them back. But yeah, Brig was, I think, the main focus in my head.
Yeah, I think she's the best target here. Reaper has Wraithwalk.
Yeah.
So he can cancel any burst we do. We don't know Winston has Primal, but at the very least, like, both these tanks have an ability to disengage if they really have to.
Yep.
I can't imagine Zen's going to be in range. If he is, he's a fucking noob. Same for Mercy. So the choices essentially are this, 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 and this. If we focus anyone but the Brig, she can burst heal.
Yeah.
She's going to be holding aggressively anyway to try and hold this angle. We have Icarus to kind of just like counter stun her after she's stunned. For me, this Brig would be
Fight point.
a fantastic target. And
Yep. Monkey.
if we'd have
Monkey.
calmed
Push him
it,
back. Reaper.
look how low she is at this point. We haven't said Brig once yet, and she's just taken all this damage just from splash and random spam. We've called Monkey and we've called Reaper. If we call the Brig who doesn't have the mobility in the first place, I think she
No
does
shift,
here.
Reaper, no shift. Do you get one?
Reaper,
Yeah.
She's target.
Yep. Monkey. Push him back.
He gets rally.
This is aggressive. Who's Akuma? Akuma is the Reaper, but he fades. Yeah, anyway.
Reaper. No shift, Reaper, no shift. Do you get one?
So Icarus, I don't know, you end up pushing off this way. Stay as the core, focus. We didn't comment properly anyway, but if we'd have actually all been together and we'd all picked the target, Brig dies here, and I think we even take this point.
Reaper, monkey bind. Oh, it's primaling.
I'll contest. I've almost got slammed.
Reaper off the point.
I'm on Reaper right now. Diva no shift.
I push them off.
Diva has no shift.
Like, Reaper's good against tanks, yes, but equally, like, we're also very good in close range, so he's not that scary, and also just because of the nature of goats and how quickly we build rally, like, that really negates him either. For me, their Brig is a bigger problem than their Reaper because of her burst heal. And that's before we mention the fact that he has a nice, easy ability
Nice
to
luck.
use.
Yeah.
Coalesce. Watch this. You're on 140 health. Flames coalesces. Oh yeah, die Zen! Die! And then you die. So.
Oh my god.
Let's not see that happen again. You can, if Flames had been playing behind you here, well, first of all, if you wanted to shift aggressively for whatever reason, shift behind them, shift about here, and then coalesce in this way, so we're actually getting value out of the zone damage and healing our tanks. Alternatively, just play back here and coalesce all the way down here. You get Reaper, you get Zen, you heal Guts. Guts doesn't die. While we do kill Zen because there's coalescence, you get the lowest value. Coalescence cleaves, it's penetrating. We get so little value out of this because it's going into the floor.
Reaper's one.
Reaper's one as well. Like, honestly, if we'd been doing it in a line, you're going to be healing going to be healing Guts, you're going to be healing Jay, you're going to be damaging Reaper, you're going to be damaging Zen. Instead, we're just damaging Zen.
Zen.
No point.
Anyway, that's we lose that point.
Yeah.
What happens?
It's lack of...
We've lost you. We lose Icarus. We don't really get a good focus target off.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Wait.
that's that.
The main focus there was just the front line. So like either the Monkey Diva or the Brig or the Reaper. I wasn't quite sure which one to go on, but I guess you should have just said Brig here.
I think Brig is the best target.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that brings me kind of like to the fact I kind of wanted to talk about. So in this map, we see a couple of examples where we're kind of given two options of play styles, and this is really applicable to you, and it's probably actually most applicable to you.
Yeah.
But we kind of like have the two options of sending our Winston to flank aggressively and trying to call that the Sombra, and then trying to create pressure on point and pull the tanks off high ground, or indeed just like if the tanks stay there, potentially trying to steal a pick. The other option for a play style is clearing this high ground first and then looking to engage once we actually have a safe area for our backline.
Yeah.
I don't think either is the right answer. I think it does depend on what support ults we have available and what ultimates we have available. Why has my thing gone translucent? That's why. So I think there are some variables which can help determine the playstyle, but we never really, on the couple of examples where you do flank with the Sombra here, we never actually apply enough pressure onto point to get any, we don't really get any value out of the flanks in the end.
Yeah.
Your Sombra don't achieve much, whereas I think if in those examples I raised where you had taken space more aggressively, kept your leap on cooldown, you force their hand, you force the tanks to either disengage back, or you end up forcing a split of resources where the people playing backline here have to invest some stuff to deal with you and Sombra.
Yeah.
And that leaves our core free to invest, that leaves our core free to pressure the tanks slightly more because they're essentially split. And I mean, if we play that idea out, you pressure them, blah blah blah, you either get an advantage on them, get some, I don't know, Kyle's tracking is sick or something and we manage to hack and kill the Brig or whatever, or indeed while we're distracting them there, our core attacks them here, and when you get pressured out, you can leap back, supply heals, and even help to continue to pressure these tanks out. Or like I say, we could actually just like play a much slower style of like actually staging, taking the space we want to take before going into point. Because for 6 minutes, we pretty much lose this point because their Winston just jumps on our Mercy back here.
Yeah.
And like I say, as I've kind of covered already, this can be influenced by ultimates. If we have a Valk to go in, we can just kind of like commit to sending our Genji around this way, commit to sending our Sombra here, commit to you here. We can have our Diva, our Zen and our Mercy go main, but we could either Valk or Trans to actually get them into an aggressive point and actually try and secure some kills before they die. But if we're not going to use any support ultimates to do that, we have to either pull them away from this space by pressuring point or just hard commit to pressuring this space in the first place. And that kind of, for me, is just like a play style and a plan in scrims, and I think it could be an interesting thing to decide is like, or to experiment with different styles, whether that's a super aggressive flanky backline delete style, or whether that's a slower sort of staging aggressive style, or sort of staging and space orientated style. So I would think in scrims, it's a shame I'm not here tonight because I think it maybe different approaches are better for different maps, but it could be an interesting idea to just pick the way you want to attack a point like this and just try it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we could do it, like I say, you could do it depending on the comp they're playing, depending on the ults we have, but that's quite, maybe that's something that is better to, maybe it's better to just kind of like hard experiment with each style and kind of get used to it, and then we're able to adapt and play each on the fly depending on what's better. But currently we don't really do either that well, so I think it could be an interesting idea in scrims to pick a style that we're going to do. For example, just taking playing a very space-orientated dive and then looking for a good chance.
Yeah. I guess I'll try space oriented tonight.
Yeah, you could even switch it up map by map. But I think tonight pick Anubis as a point to play, and then play to secure this space first.
Yeah.
If we're playing double flanker, you could certainly still have, if we do play Sombra, for example, or Tracer, you could certainly still have them pressure one of these flanks, because I do think just splitting the focus slightly, especially when playing flankers, is really powerful. But I think a big difference in the styles really comes down to how you personally approach this.
Yeah. I don't know. It's maybe I don't know. I just feel this like as a leader, like it's always I think it goes most successfully when I'm there with the core.
Yeah.
Holding them stable, because a lot of the time, I think we experienced it yesterday, where there wasn't a hell of a lot of communication at all. Like, it was always like me asking, "Okay, we ready? Is everyone in position? You know, is this in place and is that in place?" And then I would call it 3, 2, 1, and then it would happen. Whereas if I leave them on their own, it doesn't necessarily happen that successfully.
That's true. I guess one option for you, for example, if you did feel compelled to not play with the core and kind of like play with one of our flankers, one option for you is to just calm the style that you're going to be looking for on this next attack. Be like, okay, I'm going to be flanking aggressively with Sombra, I'm going to pressure point. Then you point to Jay and you be like, Jay, protect backline, get them through the space, or indeed, all right. So for me, for example, on a couple of these points, I would, if you were going to take this aggressive flank with Sombra, I would try and calm, all right, Icarus, Jay, support our supports, get out, pressure these tanks while we're flanking, and then we look for a play from there. Because at that point, if we look at a couple of examples, if you're doing that and the Mercy GA's across, then you can you can all collapse on the Mercy here. I don't know. But hopefully, like I said, I talked to Jay yesterday, hopefully we kind of do hopefully we do kind of play considering our backline a little bit more. Like I said to him, positioning, Jay likes an aggressive diva, and I don't necessarily mind that. But one of my favourite sayings is like positioning is contextual, and it really relies on like where the enemy team is playing, but also in terms of Diva Winston, like Jay's aggression is really determined by your aggression. If you're at a time playing with the core of our team, like pushing main, then that does leave him free to kind of like try and pressure somewhere else. I always personally think Winston gets more value pressuring flanks than Diva does because of her DM. But if it's you going on a flank play, and this happens on a couple of other maps as well, where just like, for example, you and Hayes will be off flanking left, and then Jay will end up taking a flank solo right, and then that just leaves like our Winston Zen, our Mercy and our Zen main. Like, the position, the attack angle that you take is super important for how the rest of our team can play. I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I think I hope I made some sense.
I think that was on Nepal. Yeah,
we did it.
I usually do that if they have like a McCree comp, a Ryan McCree comp.
But like, I really like you and Hayes' flanks on Nepal. I think it's super powerful. I think it works really well. We just need to make sure that if our Winston is aggressively on a flank, we need to make sure that our Diva is controlling space to keep our backline alive.
Yep.
We have to do that, because otherwise we just get the situation that we have here of just like Gil dying or our Mercy dying over and over again to a Winston that should be pushed out.
Yeah. Sounds straightforward.
Yeah.